All right. Okay, we're recording and I can edit this beginning out. So, good morning, everybody. It's Lelania Hagen. Welcome back to my channel. And today I am having a special interview with Allana. And I'm going to give her an introduction as soon as I put her on the screen. There we go. Now we can see both of us. And I'm going to read her bio really quick. Allana is an intuitive medium, shamanic, Reiki master and teacher for people and animals, EFT practitioner, life and inspired business coach, and Rockstar hairdresser. And I can attest to all of those things. And the reason why I'm asking Allana to come on an interview today is because I had a experience with grace and moving into this weekend into the new moon and doing the class that I am teaching for clearing karma. I have been practicing the meditations consistently again for like 5 or 7 days. And I had an experience with activating my grace. And I called, actually, I texted Elena and I said, hey, a crow just flew past me and its wingspan touched my chest across the way. And she said, she asked me a whole bunch of questions. And we're going to go over that today.
I asked you one question.
Yeah.
I remember asking you one question.
You
like
did.
What direction? Yeah. What direction did it fly?
Yeah. And I said, it came from the left and it flew across me to my right.
Yeah.
And I said, what does that mean? I knew, but I had to reach out to Elena for validation because in my experience, I've known Elena for a long time and I call her the animal whisperer because she's the spirit animal whisperer. And I totally believe in spirit guides. And I've learned a lot about spirit guides from our relationship over the years. And we have done many things together and I've experienced her services and she's done my hair. Not lately because I'm kind of on the tree hugger movement of not doing anything with my hair. But I've learned a lot about spirit animals and signs through Elena's work. And that's why I reached out to her because I needed to know if I was correct. And if I wasn't correct, what the hell did that mean? Because I know crows are a sign. So I'm going to let her explain a little bit why this is so important.
Yeah, well, so, this is how it flows in my world. I had been thinking about you, of course, and then I had seen that you sent me a video and I was like, oh, cool, I'll watch that later. And then you text me and then, with your crow thing. And, here's the thing I want to clarify as well. There's a couple things happening when that happens. You have a live animal thing that happened. You called it an experience. A live animal experience. That could be insect, crow, something dramatic, something small, but you have an interaction with an animal, okay, in your daily life. And so you know that yours was extra special because it actually flew in front of you and it touched you. You said something about wingspan. I could feel the wings or the wing, which is amazing. And so then what I do in that, she's asking me is that I asked the question. I felt like I needed to just know what direction it was flying in because that's important in the message. And so, I'm an interpreter of symbolism and of animals. And here's a word that's come up that's sort of interesting that it came into my mind, of course, but then, and I knew where I could find what it was instead of looking it up. I have been I am an augur, AUGUAUR. It's the study of nature and animals and their meaning with us and our interaction with them and the messages they impart to us, especially something like your incident. So what I remember is, I don't remember exactly what I said to you, but then, it was inspired. It was quick. It wasn't a lot of a message, but I remember that there was the thing of grace came to me, like touched by grace. So I wrote that to you and then you wrote back to me all kind of woo, because you had already spoken those words. You were already doing that thing. I didn't know really because I hadn't tuned into your offerings that you're doing right now currently.
Yeah, because you said, "Oh, cool, I'll watch that later."
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
So really that's the big message here, and why I think we're talking today is because, that's kind of extreme. That's an extreme experience, but I think we've all had some experiences with wildlife like that, right? Where things have come in at us, or like you might have baby hummingbirds right now in your backyard. Well, that's joy and birth and spring and beautiful blessings. And they're also fierce little warriors, those hummingbirds. They're amazing, fierce little warriors. And they're the only bird that can hover and go, so quickly back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And, so we all have experiences with animals every day. So how does it make you feel? What and then if you want to go a little deeper, really it's about the animal. Like, it doesn't take you to, like, this is years for me in this, for the fact that it's always been a thing. Like, now I know it's like, I love it because it feels natural. It's part of the natural world. And so that's a big piece of my connection with you, Lelania, because we were brought together. I think, there's been some things that have showed up full circle for you and I. And I think it's been almost, I don't know, 3.5 years or 3 years at least that we've been together, or, been friends,
Yeah.
and impacted each other in pretty profound ways, I think. So
I agree.
I like that we keep coming back, and checking in, especially when things are like this, so it's important. And I think that, and that's why we're here. And so I just want you to know also with that, well, let's go a little farther into your grace before I go a little farther off the other
Okay.
way.
Yeah, and I want to share with you. So, like, and for the beginners and the people that are maybe just kind of like getting this whole, like,
Yeah,
messages, signs, spirit guides, sort, many topics in this whole scenario, right? So
right.
I was maybe 3 or 4 days into doing this set again, and I was literally pulled up to Chipotle with my son. My son wanted Chipotle on the way to his event, right? And I got out of the car and he's texting me his order. So I open up my phone and I'm like reading the order because I'm going into Chipotle. And all of the sudden, swoop, I screamed, ah, because I didn't know what it was. And then I stopped and I collected myself and I was like, and it kept flying around my head, going, ah, 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 like getting my
Yeah,
attention. And so it's not like you're sitting in a meditative position,
right.
or,
Exactly.
or you're doing the spiritual thing.
Yeah,
It can happen anywhere you are and
that's
when
right.
you're least expecting it. And
That's
so
right.
creating that awareness and actually activating, like I activated gate 22 and activated my grace out of the shadow of dishonor and oppression, which that's where I was 2 months ago. So this is a
Yeah.
huge lesson that, I feel people need to hear. So maybe they can start recognizing their spirit animals. I had somebody tell me the other day, I have all these ants coming in my house. It's not ant season. I said, that's transformation, honey. You need to move it through. They're
Well,
moving.
yeah, that's true. That's true. And so we can go even a little deeper into that. Now start to think about what that animal represents. What
Right.
does it represent?
Mhm.
They work in communities. They create and move. They protect what queen. They're intelligent. They're fierce and mighty little creatures too, right? They carry off their dead. There's a lot of things
Exactly.
that they do, right? So when you break that down, it's like there's lessons in those that pertain to you, and maybe even at the current state where you are in your life. And that's really the whole point here. The whole point is that I'm and let's so you know spirit symbolism. There's certain things that are universal with symbols. There really are. I mean, it's kind of
Yeah.
amazing, honestly. But also that's a so so for each person, you might receive a symbol, but it might mean something different to you in your
Correct.
interpretation, okay, of what it feels for you. So my job as an interpreter, a reader, an interpreter, is to give you the information so that you can interpret that message for yourself and what feels right. Right?
Exactly, and,
Okay.
and on that point, so,
Yeah.
like, when the crow first flew past me, what I know about crows because I've studied, every time something happens, I go and study it.
Take a look. Right.
So for me, crows are a big symbol of death, but right at that moment, I was like, death to the ego, right? Because you got to kill the ego before you can get to grace. So, like, I was like, oh, I just killed my ego. This is so transformational. I didn't go, in the past when crows came, when my vibration was a little bit lower and I hadn't done as much work on myself, I was like, oh my God, am I going to die? When the crow landed across the
Mm.
roof from my house. Right. But, it's like, where are you going to take it and what are you going to manifest out
Yeah.
of it?
Well, there's the other beautiful thing you just added to this is that so for you, there's also the other thing that happens. It isn't just about, oh, this animal. It's here's the bigger part that you just said is how does it make you feel? Like what's the feeling that comes with it in the moment, or like the fear obviously that crows induced for you when they were across the street on the house, whatever was happening. And
Yeah.
so for you it became a symbol of fear, the crow, right? Or death, right? Which is true, they call it a murder of crows. It's a murder of crows, right? There's all kinds of like Edgar Allan Poe stuff, so but then there's also the flip side of crows, highly intelligent. They do all kinds of amazing things. They're messengers. um you know they're helpers in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
They fly with, they're with wolves, they accompany wolves because they are also like sentients, like they'll sound a warning sign. And they're also, they're omnivores, they'll eat anything.
Uh-huh.
So, so I always feel that the best way to handle any kind of animal incident that happens is you got to really check in with what you felt when it happened, not just, oh, go to your book and go look, because honestly, what you did was take away the message. The message comes in the moment. The other thing I was going to say about the flight and the thing that happened to you and how it touched you is that, here's an interesting idea. And I say idea because it's yours to interpret. But kind of what I felt and got with that too, and as we're talking, is that, sometimes animals will come in and protect us. They'll take a hit for us.
Mhm.
They'll give us the confirmation. They'll do things like, I feel like you were touched in your heart. You went from, what was it, left to right? So it
Yeah.
was, male side coming and exiting out female side. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay. So, and then when we're talking about it like that, in our bodies and when we do energy work, and, you've got the right side is your male dominant side of your body. And if you have stuff happening on that side, you can check in with what's happening with your males, you as a male, your male side. And then your right side is your left side is your feminine side. You said yours came, wait, now tell me again, where did yours come? Left
Left
to
to
right or right?
right.
Okay. So you are healing feminine issues that came in through your feminine issues, touched your heart, and went out your left or your right side.
Correct.
Yes. And so
And
what that in that
that's
moment,
absolutely true in my life. That's exactly what's going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so am I. So there's
Right.
our connection as well.
And that's
I
because
have,
this week we're in gate 22,
yes.
which is married to gate 47. And those are the rulers of Akashic records and ancestral karma. So, like,
Yeah.
this week is super big, and my ancestral karma has to do with the whole female lineage of being
Yeah.
sexually abused, and I'm that's why I'm coming out and speaking out, because I can no longer hide this message, right?
Yeah.
In every experience that I'm having, I'm just putting the material out
Right.
because in order to help somebody. Like, I'm just being
Yeah.
guided to share the
Right.
message. If everyone
So,
chooses to show
so
up and do the work, hey, we're here for you. And maybe my
right.
my work might not be in alignment with somebody that's watching this. Maybe they want to come and see you. So guess what? I'm going to put all your
Yeah.
information in the bottom in the description. And you want to learn about your spirit animals and get a serious intuitive Reiki session. Alana has been spot on every session that I have ever done with her, down to the peg leg of removing in that left foot. I'm getting to the end of it. getting to the end of that. Remember?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because we hear about, I mean, so the planetary stuff is super important because it does have an effect on us, and it's like, invisible effect on us because it's, part of the polarities of our planet,
Correct.
and what affects us. Okay, so it isn't just this week. I think there's been a theme this whole year. 2020. Okay, let's say it's starting. I'm going to say starting at the 2019. Maybe I think for a lot of people, and then knowing that this shift was coming,
Yeah,
and then
January 2020 it started.
yeah, absolutely. And for me, well,
Well, from
so
my
let's
research, I mean, everybody's
yeah,
coming from it. We're
yeah.
all doing our work from a different angle, right? And so
That's the
a
whole
different
point.
start
That's
date.
the whole point, is that there's buildup. So when we're in
Mhm.
planetary pulls, that's when a lot of things show up, whether you're prepared for it or not. It's like, if you've been aware that there's some work or themes that are happening in your life, right? Themes that are happening in your life, like the theme that's been going on for me for many, many, many years, almost probably my whole lifetime, is as you as well, that I know about you, is my healing has been from non-supportive women in the family. Abuse, not to me, but to my mother. And so then it trickles down. My mother started the break of the cycle and then passed it over to me. And so
Right.
both of us have been in alignment with the weirdest stuff. And some of it had to do with infection in our body.
I'm dealing with
Same
that right
place,
now too.
same side.
Left side.
Yes. And and for me, the animals, back to the animals, it's like, I shared a story, and I'm not going to really, I don't think we have time to really share the story right now, but you know I had an owl incident recently, and I felt like the owl hit my house.
Ooh,
My owls that come to my full moon fire ceremonies in my
yes.
backyard that I hold, and the last 3 years, one hit my house. We found it in the morning in the most amazing way because it was not visible. Beautiful golden barred owl. But what I
Um,
got in the moment, because it's kind of scary, kind of weird, it's that crow idea. But for owl is very, very steeped in harbinger of death, endings, but also wisdom and
yeah.
feminine and the moon and all of that. So, we get stuck on these weird, scary things when really you got to look at the whole picture. I got to see this beautiful golden owl in the daylight. I felt like the owl took a hit for us. There was like this weird stuff, and my mom had infection from stitches left in her breast from it
I
was
remember
a
you
cancer
telling
thing
that.
years ago.
Mhm.
But the day that animal hit the house is the day they found the stitches that ended the infection that had been going on for months. Okay.
Okay,
And
and
so I got that.
I want to touch on something that you just said. You said, we go into these scenarios of believing the death and everything. Well, that's the narrative that has been sold to the population. And I think the most important thing that we were seeing starting in January 2020 is that a lot of people got woken up, right? And it forced a lot of change. Like I was seeing a lot of healers and light workers, or whatever you want to call them, light leaders, all of us that are doing this work outside of the normal box. We're having a hard time dealing in that system, right? And as soon as everything shut down, everybody was forced to make a change. Whether you were doing the work that we're doing or not, everybody was forced to make a change and see a different perspective, right?
Yeah. The
So,
button got pushed. The button got pushed, and the button
yeah,
was going to be pushed. It needed to be pushed. And I can tell you that a lot of people agree with that. People that I've talked to, then it's like that weird blessing in disguise thing. Okay.
yes,
Because we needed to get to this place where we did just stop. We were
yep,
creating madness and madness and madness in this cycle. And so, everybody's dealt with things differently. I don't, I've had amazing things show up, but I had a buildup where I knew it was coming. Okay. I
yeah,
mean, I'm just going to say, I felt like the world caught up to me. It was the most weirdest thing. I was in this, I had death happen of my old life, December 31st, 2019.
I remember.
And it was like rebirth the next week. But that week I walked into the grocery store, 1st of January, I got hit with something's happened, and it's
Same.
big. and they don't know what's coming. They know, but they don't know. And we all didn't know. And I said they because it's marketing in a grocery store. You know, any marketing, all of us go to the grocery store. So you're going to be marketed to at the grocery store for your best consumerism.
Right.
They know ahead of time that's how it works. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's how retail works.
Right.
So they knew something was coming. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just saying, you know, but it hit me really hard. So in my, you know, intuitive senses, as well as I see the signs of the, you know, the retail shifting. So, you know, the good news is that we get a chance to reconnect with ourselves. What's important to us, where we show up, you know, what we consider the work. I put that in quotations because really it's a personal journey.
Yeah.
That's the work. And it's to be, you know, and to me, it's always to be the best version of myself.
Yeah.
And follow my intuition and where it takes me. And it takes me to beautiful places if I allow it and trust it.
Yeah. And that's because you're operating in grace.
So I wanted to add really quick that I
Back to
decided
grace.
that, yes. So I decide, oops, did I
Whoops.
go
Let's
out?
go.
Yeah, sorry.
Shut up your camera.
That I would look up through, you know, the dictionary, the definition of grace.
Yeah.
So that isn't just word throwing this word around, because okay, so here's what it is. It's a noun.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a mythology, law, and Christian background of definition. Okay, grace. So number one, it's a noun. It's simple elegance or refinement of movement. So before I looked at this, I felt like it's a state of being. It becomes a state of being in grace.
That's how my teacher has taught it through
Yeah,
Kundalini yoga and
yeah,
Yogi Bhajan. And every teacher that I've ever sat in a class with, everybody teaches Kundalini as taught by Yogi Bhajan, unless they're teaching some other spinoff, right? So
yeah.
that's the main thing is developing the state of being and operating in grace, in that flow of energetic grace. And
You know,
that's when the
one of one,
magnetism becomes more potent.
right. So one of my clients, I don't know, a couple years ago, you know, and so, you know, I think I think we did we did some work where we were talking about different levels of, I don't even remember now, prosperity. And my thing that I was doing was like the flow of it. Once you get to that place, you know, where you've done the hard work, you've come out the other side, you know, you've really gone to the dark place of the soul, if that's what you want to call it, you know, where we've had major shift, right? And we know that we have to now be, you know, responsible completely for everything that we do and for others around us. And I had one of my clients say to me, you know, you feel like, and you feel like you're, you know, you remind me of being in a state of grace. Like I would just like, she described me like that, and I was kind of blown away because I never really thought about that other than it being more like in this state of like a flow of being in control of myself and but in control, like, you know, letting my intuitiveness be open, letting my, you know, me be an open human and reach my highest potential and not, you know, put the blocks in or sabotage. When we talk about self-love, I mean, if we sabotage ourselves, that's not self-love. And so if there's resistance to things that you think you should be doing, you need to check in with that. Is that really your path? You know, so being an open human, that's how I'm looking at this, you know, is that we have a spiritual life as part of the whole package. So when I put in my, you know, bio that I, you know, tap into your spiritual ecology, it's because we carry that with us all the time. So the state of grace is actually, it's like something that we, you know, kind of attain. And I sort of feel like you can stay there. It's almost like, you know, Esther Hicks, when she talks about getting into the vortex,
Exactly.
right? It's not always you're not always going to be there.
No.
You know, it kind of flows right with wherever you are. But like you said about your crow visitation,
Right.
you can be doing your daily life and the most beautiful, amazing miracles and grace show up that make you go step back, go, ah, catch your breath. You smile, sometimes you laugh, you brings joy to your heart. And that to me is true living in our whole being, because now we're connected to the natural world that is
Yeah.
around us no matter where we are, no
Yeah.
matter where we are.
Exactly. And having the awareness to just be like, oh, what's my lesson in that? What's the message? What's the lesson? Why is it coming to me?
Yeah.
What do I need to know? And
Yeah.
for me, it was validation that I'm on the right path.
Yes.
I'm
And
not
there it is.
perfect. I fall off my
Yeah.
spiritual wagon, my practice a lot. And sometimes I get out of alignment. And I need those reminders for, the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, source is reminding me, yes, you're showing up and you're doing the right thing. Yes, this is the right message for you to be sending out into the population. Yes, this is the work that you need to be doing. Yes, continue doing this meditation.
Yeah.
Yes, continue to teach women how to
Right.
break the ancestral karmic patterns, because guess what? We're moving into a new vibrational new earth, and our children need to have us do that work. Otherwise,
That's right.
what's going to happen? How is that going
Yeah.
to operate if there's so much trauma in that frequency, in that new space? How is that going to happen? How is that going to work? Right? Like,
Right.
just think about it for a minute. Like, what do you want for
Yeah.
your children?
Right.
If you
You know,
want
I
all good things and prosperity and a different world than this shit show, then you got to show up and do the work so it has a ripple effect for 7 generations forward. Go ahead.
So now here's the thing is that we're doing the work in this time and space that we're doing. There's layers of this. So my daughter may continue to do some work or may not. It's up to her
True.
and her, like you're talking about karma and her, whatever it is that, her soul work is to do. But what we're doing is we're tapping into nurturing and not hurting, not harming, to be helpful, not harmful, to be supportive, to lift up people, to, I mean, I think you and I have gone through a lot of similar stuff to where, I've had some not good experiences in my life with, when we get into competitive places with people, men
Yeah.
and women. And that doesn't really help anybody, and we both go away wounded, from
Yeah.
situations like that. So, the thing isn't to stay away from people, it's just learning how to handle yourself in those situations where it doesn't stop you, from being who you are.
True.
But that's human. We're in our humanness in that, that's the other thing is give yourself a break.
Yeah.
You're a human and you're learning. But, here's the other thing too that I think is part of that. What I'm trying to get here is that, don't overthink things. That's it. I mean, I'm an overthinker, but I've had to learn, especially things like uh, interpreting messages from spirit.
Yeah.
You can overthink it. So, especially animal stuff. And here's the thing that I was getting at was be in the moment with it and feel it, because there's an experience that's all sensory that's happening. And if you feel it, there is the juice you need first. And then you go out and find your information that supports that, because you'll lose the message if you overthink it. Feel it, be in it. And sometimes it's a great mystery. You won't
Yeah.
know. Okay. That's
You got
part
to
of the
ride the
universe.
wave.
That's right. But it felt good or it didn't feel good. So what
Yeah.
is that helping you to solve? What is that? Where's that helping you to move? I've had some big commitments in my life that I've followed the breadcrumbs lately going, ooh, should I make that commitment? Because it feels good, but it's a commitment, should I do it? So you check in with yourself, you check in maybe, with a divination tool, right? You go
Yeah.
doing a meditation, you check in with your friend, whatever it is that you need for some validation. And if it feels good and continues to be good messages, then what you're on the right path for something. It's always following that breadcrumb thing, right? And it
Yeah.
always shifts, changes.
Yeah. Like, the crow thing happened on Tuesday. I think I texted you Tuesday night. Yesterday, I talked to you because, by the end of Tuesday night, I was like, we need to I need to interview you. I don't even have a podcast, but this is going to be my first episode. Let's just do it. We need to talk, right? And then here we are
Right.
on Thursday. So like all those days
Yeah.
just built on each other. And the more messages I got, the more going through these 3 days since I saw the crow is, really deepening in the depth of the ego,
Yeah.
really owning the grace flow, right?
That's right. That's right.
Doubling down
And
on the meditation to
that's right.
clear more out,
Yeah.
right? Because
Right.
I know that I absolutely have to stand up and talk about this topic of sexual abuse. And it's
Yeah.
been very hard and I carried a lot of shame. Well, you can't have shame and grace in the same energetic flow. So I
Yeah.
am owning that
That's
grace
true.
at this point. And
Yeah.
that's why I needed you. That's why I reached out to you because I
Yeah.
was like, I know as soon as you gave me
Yeah.
the answer, I go, I knew you were going to say that, right? Like
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
but I needed
And then I had to write you, and then
validation.
I listened to your video. Well, maybe we already said this earlier, but listen to your video. And then you said whatever you said, and you said it beautifully about grace. And I was like, I mean, really, I went, oh, wow. Like the message was already there. And so again, I'm the interpreter of the message. So
Yeah, and you
you
had
got
no idea where I was at,
no,
what I was
I
sharing,
didn't.
or
No, I
anything.
didn't. And I mean, I know you've been doing the karma healing ancestral work, not only on yourself, but trying to help others, to basically awaken up to that. Hey, this is a thing. It's real,
Yeah,
and I know that in doing the work that I do, the energy healing work that I do, and the psychic work that I do, which is pretty much all the same thing, that shows up all the time. Work that we're doing for our ancestors, whether you're a male or you're female. And it's not always, females doing female work, it's females doing male work as well, or male doing female work, right? It's because, we're all mingled up with our ancestors and things that they were doing and completing and wishes and hopes. I mean, which seems so like, you know, um, it's invisible. So again, there's no, proof, but yet science is telling us a little different now. We're starting to
yeah,
know that this
energetic.
isn't so, out there anymore. But, I think what happens is what I think the work we do is we're giving validation to others that there's things that you have experienced in your life, maybe when you were young at some time, even if it's one thing that happened that was profound, that you had all kinds of stuff that maybe shifted how you think about your world. My biggest thing that I love to see with people is when they get a shift of spirit, which is connected to the natural world,
Yeah.
and spirit of animals, spirit, live animal interactions, but just the overwhelming, beautiful, even if it is like not positive, like there's those things that happen that are not positive. There's a weird feeling with it, and you don't know how it's going to play out,
Right.
and some of these things play out over a lifetime, you know they do. And
Oh,
so
I relate to that.
if people pay attention, the older you get, which is actually a gift, people look at age as being this fucking curse
Right.
or whatever. It's like, no, it's a freaking gift. You get to look back at your life and you get to start seeing patterns and places that you've been and things that you've experienced, and relationships you've had, and how that excels you if you look at it
If
like
you
that.
don't judge yourself.
And if you don't judge yourself and you look at it like you're writing a story about yourself, right? Like, chapter 1 when I was 0 to whatever, chapter 2 when I you know what I mean. And so, and then you get to be an outsider looking in and sort of be more kind and gentle to your experiences. I think a lot of people at some point in their life, a lot of people get to that place where they go, I didn't sign up for this shit.
I've been there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you're like in this place, you created it, somehow you got there, and you're like, how did this happen?
Well,
I'm
to be
here.
truthful with you, I'm gonna just put this out on the table is that's exactly why I was guided to do the karma clearing set again, because I looked around and I was like, I didn't fucking sign up for this shit. How did I create this shit? I don't want this shit going on in my life. What the fuck did
Yeah.
I do? This is a horrible pattern. What?
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
literally cried and looked in the mirror and I was like, I don't like you right now. Let's fix this shit. right? And so that's the whole thing is I was like, I am not accepting what I just created in this pattern.
Yeah.
No fucking way. I didn't
Now, here's the thing about that too, is you can say, I don't accept it, but then what are you going to do? You kind of have to say, I got to take responsibility for creating it.
I did.
Right?
And I did.
And then once you do that, instead of blaming somebody else, right? Blaming somebody else or some other thing, because we all do that too, until you go, you know, that doesn't work. I have to like step into the, you know, step into my power basically, which is I am responsible
Yep.
for co-creating my life along with, you know, others and, you know, whatever, you know, the universe. And you know, and that brings peace to me.
Yeah.
That helps me go into the, you know, I'm a hopeful person, I always have been, even in times of really dark places. I can get up in the morning and appreciate the sunshine,
Yeah.
and that you get an opportunity to have a new day, taking
Yeah.
breath, you know, big breath, and to reevaluate what's important for you to move forward, because what's the other alternative, you know, and that's really not a good alternative for me. So,
And
you
it
know,
just, I think that it boils down to choice. Every morning we wake up and
yeah,
we have opportunity to reincarnate a new reality for ourselves. And we have to make the
yeah,
choice. Do we want to choose to continue to play out that pattern?
yeah.
Or do we want to choose to create a new pattern, a new frequency, a new container, a new operating, a new reality? Every day we have that
Yeah,
choice.
you know, when my old life was at its worst point, and this is, you know, a long time ago now, what I remember that was super powerful because I had never really had it happen like this was I was in really weird patterns. They were bad, they were destructive, but what I got hit with was that, oh my God, I have the power to change this. And at some point in my future, not tomorrow, maybe not even, you know, a year from now, it ended up being about a year from then, but I could change these patterns and eventually it would feel better. And I wouldn't have these patterns. Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
And
now, you
that's what I
know,
meant. Bingo, you hit the nail on the head.
yeah. And
That's
so
when
the thing
I
about
looked
it
in the
is
mirror
that,
and I was like,
yeah.
what are you doing?
Right. And so then what happens is you're making a conscious choice in that point to go, okay, so I'm going to change this. How do I do that? Little baby steps, little baby steps. People call it bite size, baby step, whatever it is. But it's like, you know, that I know, I'm going to tell you now, that thing is the key to everything. It's like if you have something in mind you know you want to attain, just in those moments, like I said, I was in a not good place, but knew that I could make a shift, a change. And I did. And I didn't go back to that place because it didn't feel good. It wasn't serving me. And it wasn't even, it wasn't serving me. I felt like I was dying there. Okay. So
Yeah.
you get to make the choice in those moments. Am I going to die like this? Because I feel it, the energy gets lower. It's a lower energy vibration. When you start to have hope and you start to, you know, want to activate grace, then you know you've got to do the work to clear out the shit that doesn't serve you. And that's what it's low. You know, for the people that are, you know, that are potentially listening to this, if you've got, you know, if you know this, when you've got freaking stomach issues or you've got like you've eaten crappy food and you got stomach stuff going on, you don't feel good, you feel sluggish. There it is. It's the same thing. If you deal in low level negativity, you know, don't like yourself, sabotaging, live with people that don't, you know, that aren't upholding you, you are going down a spiral. People call that going down the drain, the black hole, the, you know, the rabbit hole, it's energetic. It's like
Okay.
water going down your tub or
Okay.
your
So
toilet.
on that note, so going down the tubes and the stomach pain and everything, and you're just, guess what? Continuous oppression of all
Yeah.
of this shit show. You push it down so low that it gets to your toes, and then you start compounding that, and then it starts to come up. And guess what? You have a stomach ache because
Yeah,
you need to clear the
absolutely.
shit out. So what you just said, it's cause and effect,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
It's full circle.
That's right.
And I talked about the stomach pain in my video that I did after the one that I sent you. It was like
Oh,
I've been putting out.
Because I haven't caught up.
I know, and listen,
Oh my God. Okay.
There's no
So,
rhyme or reason or rhythm for what I'm doing. I'm
I
just
know.
showing up and putting it on film. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's all
And I'm
good.
just pumping it out because that's
Yeah.
what the source is telling me to do.
Yeah. Hey, I want to add something to this, what you just said about the feet thing, okay? Because one of the things that shows up a lot with, I'm going to say more women than men. I don't know what, maybe, I don't know what that is. And maybe I just know more women, okay, that have this happen. But, the restless legs syndrome, right? Restless legs, where you can't, you've been on your legs all day, whatever. I mean, I'm on my legs a lot. I've had that, but I don't have it all the time. It's not really like a thing I would say that I have, but there are many people that have that. So here's what shows up all the time for those people, especially when we're in healing sessions and they don't want to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. They're not grounded.
Nope.
They're not releasing that energy. And most of them don't take off their shoes. They wear shoes. They're shoe wearers.
24/7.
Okay. So, the only time they don't wear shoes is in bed, and maybe they even wear socks. So they're not, and that's really interesting because like, I can imagine, we know, you and I know that in meditation and in imagination with that, you can do an exercise that you actually ground yourself. Doesn't matter where you're wearing, what you're sitting, where you are. We can do the visualization to do the grounding into the earth. Okay. It's super important. It really is, because the spacey stuff, the energy that doesn't know where to go, it gets trapped. Like, look at my hands, really. And what happens? You start getting these nerve flares. And then when I say to them, you need to do some grounding, you need to take your shoes off and go step on your backyard grass or in the dirt or in the sand or go to the park or something, stand on your
Or get a
carpet
sandbox and
barefooted,
put it under your desk or something.
anything. Yeah, to where you are on some sort of surface that isn't your shoes. And then imagine the energy leaving your body. And they say, oh, no, I can't do that. I don't like it. It doesn't feel good. Ooh, I don't like that. No, really, I'm just saying this not as a put down to them, but as a weird thing that has shown up multiple times, where to me, what that says is it's super important to do the grounding to release the energy that's in your body. It's got to be released somewhere or it piles up. It doesn't know what to do. And then it bunches and it gets trapped and it causes you pains and then it moves around, right?
Yep.
So as a, person who
Been there, done that.
and I've been an athlete in my life. Okay. And I've had no surgeries of that type of stuff. I've been very fortunate and whatever, but if I've had surgeries for all the freaking pains that have shown in my body, I probably would have 100 surgeries by now.
I agree with that.
Pain moves around.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're dealing with things like the we're originally talking about here, which is dealing with, part of the reason why you are doing this work is so that you feel better. Bottom line, you, Lelania, in this lifetime, feel better in your body, can do the things you want to do, can be active and movement and have the things, in this human spiritual body on this planet right now. Okay. But what happens is that we go, shit, there's shit's holding me back. What is it? And then this weird heaviness or whatever it is. Some people never fucking know. I mean, and not to say everybody's dealing with the same thing. No, honestly, we can't do that. We can't say that because I that's wrong of me.
No.
It's a judgment, and I can't do that. But the people that have an inkling that they're tied up with their family, and then let's say they kind of know it, they are tied up with their family. They're having chaos or shifting, or parents are getting older, or whatever it is, sibling and you are fighting, or whatever it is, and things start to show up that don't feel good. You have things to deal with. And if you don't, a lot of times it really starts to go into the body, starts to cause weird stuff. And, you can call it whatever the fuck you want. Woo woo. But, I know better.
Right.
I know better by trying to.
Oh, Mercury's in retrograde. I can't function correctly. Okay.
We both have gone into states where, by knowing your story of your dark night of the soul and how long that lasts, because for me, it felt like it lasts for about a decade.
Oh, mine was like 30 plus years. I didn't find any of the spiritual healing tools until I think gosh, I was like almost 40 and I'm
Yeah.
52 now. You know,
Yeah.
I had a little boy and
Yeah.
I was just newly out of a divorce and I got prescribed Kundalini yoga by a holistic healing doctor to all the movie stars.
Right.
That's how I started on this path. He was like, do Kundalini yoga to repair your nervous system. I was sitting in those classes going, what the fuck is this? This is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Right. And then one day it came over me, the electrical charge came over me, and I felt
Yeah.
my body turn back on. And then
Right.
I
And
noticed that
the
my
truth
head started to change.
right. And the energy, the Kundalini piece of Kundalini yoga, is, that energy from the earth that flows through our body, up our energy system that we all have. It's not a belief system,
Uh-uh.
it's
It's
science
a
and
tool to turn
medical.
you on.
And if, when you're a cadaver, you don't have it anymore. You're dead, so you're in an energetic spiritual body as well as your human functioning physical body. That's what we're talking about. And so it's, you can believe what you want, but why kind of, my thing about that is, do you believe in air? Because you breathe it. Okay. So, do you believe that the sun comes up every day? I mean,
Exactly.
come on. Do you believe in gravity?
But
I mean,
for some
there's
that
just
believe
certain
the earth
things that
is
start
flat,
to,
but they don't believe in
I
Kundalini.
mean, I can turn it back, and I'm not defending, but it's like, there's people that, and this is a big platform for me right now and work that I'm doing right now that's super cool. But it's the idea that, we've been in a shift of, let's shift the judgment of each other, right? We're
Yeah.
talking about, all of that of each other. We're in a place in the space and time. So what so I one of the problems I've had in my life is being put down for my imagination.
Yeah.
Okay, that word. You didn't like that? Oh, you have a great imagination. Well, you know what? Fuck you, I do. I'm an artist. I'm a creative, highly creative person.
I agree.
And so what happens is that the person who's saying that to me elevates themselves and puts me in this place.
Yeah.
And I've never had issue. The only other issues I've ever had with that has been, the psychic piece, the imagination piece, which that all kind of goes into, and the being a woman.
Yeah.
And that's been by men who actually, I figured out after a while, are intimidated by me, and they just need to, like, corral it. And so that's okay. But now here's another thing important that I wanted to just throw in here, since we've been talking about, we know that women are in the forefront right now, and we're coming to this place for, the shift in our spiritual consciousness of the planet. Honestly, that's what I feel like. It's that nurturing piece. But I'm just going to put it out there, and you know me. I think you know where I'm going to go with this. I'm a mother. You're a mother. We both have sons, and I have a husband. Had another second. I have a second husband. So I've had men around me, and I was in hockey for years, for men's youth hockey, in high positions in Utah, of all places. And this conversation, and I'm talking, this is years ago now, okay? I haven't been involved in 15 years. So, here's our little boys, they're out on the ice, and the moms are talking shit about their husbands.
I remember this story.
Okay. And it really hit me hard. It was like, what are we doing? We're raising men. This is not fair. It's like, you want your men to turn out like the stuff you're complaining about with your husbands. It's really not fair to them. And so, we have a responsibility as women to raise the men, not to be weak, because we're not weak. We don't want weak men. We want them to be in their empowerment, just like we want to be in our empowerment. What we're doing is we're giving them the license. They've been so confused. Men have been confused for generations now of where they're supposed to be, because generations always evolve, right? They always evolve. So, we got to look at the men as, they're not all predators.
No, they're not.
And they're not bad. It's we just, and it's just people. It's like, it would be like the thing that was said to me about being a woman, that I go and say about men, that men aren't welcome. I love having circles of women because it's very unique and powerful with women. But
Yeah.
when we invite the men in, they get to be in that powerful, I'm going to say feminine, masculine balance if we allow, everybody to be present. So, I feel that I'm doing that with my men, and I have good men
Yeah.
that are willing to cry and willing to be exposed and, willing to be vulnerable in front of me, with me. And I think that's important because it's safe for them.
Yes.
They need safety too. And so, we're here to support each other in that. And I think that's super important for us to remember.
I totally agree with you. We could totally go off on a tangent on the whole male thing, but
Yeah, maybe another time.
yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that for now. I completely agree with you, and but that's a whole nother talk show, and it's just gonna go south. And we've been on for an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's 10:30, and I know that
Yeah.
you have your people. So, um, we're gonna just wrap it up. And thank you for coming on and having this conversation with me today, and going through these last few days and validating my intuitive hits, and helping me feel more comfortable in vibrating in my grace and activating my power, and getting this message out to as many women as possible, and men, whoever. Everybody's welcome to join on Saturday. And
Right.
like, I'm doing this class on Saturday. It's going to be probably about an hour and a half. I keep saying it's an hour, but I know better than that. And you know me better than that. I always go over. But then I'm offering to go through 40 days with people. So I'm
Wow.
going to show up every day at 11 o'clock, and there's going to be replays and all that other good stuff. But I'm going to let you go, and I'll put on the end of this interview all the information for signing up. And I'll put your links down below.
Sounds good. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And thank you so much for coming on today. And I hope you have a fabulous day. And I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Love you.
Mwah. Take
Bye
care.
now.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.